Hello, hello. It is the Chelsea Football Fancast. It's Monday nights, which is when we're always on the telly. I love it. And, of course, this is the lovely Sophie Rose who keeps me in order and on the straight and narrow. And the lovely people here tonight are Dan Levene, also known as @Blues, not Bruce, @Blues Chronicle. Who are you writing for at the moment, Dan?
Anyone who'll pay me.
Well, apart from the obvious, but you're doing quite a lot of writing, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm doing a fair amount at the moment.
This is your moment to give him a plug, mate.
Just follow the Blues Chronicle and you'll find everything there.
He's being coy, that's unlike Dan. And we've also got my lovely mate Dan Silver, sometime benefactor to your Uncle Chidge for the odd ticket here and there. And, of course, somebody that we have promoted from the benches. So there we go. It's a bit like the Kurt Zuma of the Chelsea Fancast. What do you think?
I'd be happy with that.
Yeah, you happy with
comparison?
that?
Yeah.
I've always thought of you as being the Kurt Zuma of the Chelsea Fancast.
I said, I don't want to be like Nick Crittenden.
No, you don't want to be like Nick Crittenden. That makes kind of Dr. Mark like the Petr Cech of the Chelsea Fancast, because he was great for us and he was the number one for a long time, and then we kind of elbowed him for some younger people, really, didn't we? But he still comes back occasionally and does fine work.
A bit more like Osgood then. You know.
Well, actually, yeah. Or John Hollins, maybe. Well, actually, if I go and he ends up running this, then he could well be the John Hollins, and that would make Jonathan Kidd Ernie Wally, which would make me very happy. Anyway, we should move on rather than going down memory lane, and we were going to talk about Costa in the first part of the Newcastle match, but we got interested in talking about other things. But I think it's now time to talk about Costa because. A bit like Chelsea, I don't think he was brilliant in the first half, but he was phenomenally good in the second. You were very excited about it when I was talking to you about it off air, Dan.
I definitely did.
Give me
one
some
of those
Costa love.
Those little Guinness things that you have to do.
Always a note that you're very excited when you start quoting Guinness and in the same breath.
Definitely, yes. Exactly what you just said. I thought he was as good in the second half as he was poor in the first half, and that point, which I'm sure we'll talk about later, where he dribbled the ball past the entire Newcastle defence, turned and shot, and it was only denied by the outstretched boot of Colaccini. It was pure genius. That was goal of the season had it got in.
Do you know what? And Ross, bless his heart, your mate Ross. Yes,
Ross.
Your football husband.
Ross. Hello, Ross, if you're watching.
Your football husband, really, isn't he? Yeah, don't look so shocked,
Well,
Stranger things have happened.
Can I just say, somebody said something about us being
an item?
Yes.
You're an item.
And Ross said to me, and this is a fair point, I mean, if he was going to try something on with me, then sharing a season ticket would be the worst way because he'd never see me at the game.
Do you know what? I must take a photograph of this when I go home to the flat tonight and bring it in for you next week, or I'll just text it to you. But my wife has bought this thing. Which you hang up in the kitchen, saying we interrupt this marriage for the football season. Do you think she's trying to tell me something? I thought so. Anyway, going back to Costa, which I think is much safer territory for me. I was saying this to you before we started the show tonight, Dan. I actually think that his form, in terms of his sharpness, hasn't quite been there really since he came back from the hammy injury in the autumn. And I don't think that is not in dispute at all. I really don't think. What I love, though, is that in spite of him not being 100%, absolutely sharp and on it, he still scored 15 goals and was the top goal scorer in the league.
Exactly. Who in the Premier League has scored more goals than him? The answer is nobody.
And don't you just love that?
Brilliant.
Don't you just love that?
I love it. It's brilliant. I mean,
he's played like Torres, and yet he scores goals.
Yeah.
If you see what I mean.
He's got to be one of the best finishers in the world at the moment. You look maybe at Suarez or someone like that to be in that class. There's not many there, are there?
No, there aren't. He's up there. He's one of the best 5 strikers in the world.
Definitely.
I think that's easy. The other thing is, and you mentioned your football husband, Ross. Ross has got a girlfriend, by the way. Sorry, Joan, if you are watching, I am just joking, all right? So don't give him the elbow.
He's being very disrespectful.
Don't give him the elbow.
Give him some rubbish.
He's a lovely bloke, Ross, isn't he? He'll make somebody a lovely wife one day. Anyway, what Ross... I had a bit of a ding-dong about the other week. I was saying, the thing about Costa, this is why I don't think he's in great form, is that, when he played for Atletico Madrid, he would score ugly goals, he would score powerful goals, he would score bruising goals, but he would also score spectacular goals. Goals that I like to see from a world-class striker. A goal where he would maybe beat 3 or 4 people, make them look like mugs, and then bury it in the net with a pile driver. I said, I haven't seen many of the latter, Ross. I haven't seen many of these kind of goals. The minute he did that run, Ross texted me, I will find it later, and says, see, I told you. And he nearly did. And I was just so pleased to see that.
Do you know what I love as well?
What do you love?
Apparently when him and Falcao, they were playing for the same team, weren't they? Is that right?
Yeah, were they at the same time?
Apparently Costa was always behind
you're
him.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Which
very
is funny
much so.
because Falcao, I don't think he's having
Well, it's
a
because
whirlwind of a
he's
season.
cropped. He's never going to
His
be the same player, is he, Dan?
His knees finished him.
Yeah.
I don't think he's
I
ever going to
so
be.
laugh when United have got hold of
He's
him.
going to love a Friday night in Cambridge, that lad, isn't he?
Oh, they're going to. Do you know what? I think Cambridge might do United there. I really do.
Well,
gonna
I'm
put some
hoping
money
somebody
on it.
does because I've got a bet on them to
Yeah,
be out of the top four.
I'm going to put a bet on that.
Come
to
on,
happen.
Cambridge, please.
Having
Please
said
do
what
be
you said
good.
about Falcao, though, Soph, I mean,
Yes.
I saw him absolutely annihilate Chelsea in the Super Cup final.
One of the best
That
performances.
doesn't between the winner of the Champions League.
Oh, hello.
No,
That's
it's-
really, it's not just an
Very
exhibition match.
competitive game.
Yeah.
And he absolutely tore us
He
apart.
4 goals. He
Yeah,
scored
but
4
this is
that
a
night.
completely
hat-trick.
different
He got a
team.
hat-trick.
Yeah.
It's a
It's probably one
completely
of the-
different team.
Yeah, but the quality of the strikes. I mean,
different.
at that time, he was one of the world's best strikers, and he was
Yeah.
brilliant. And I think that he is not the same player now because of the knee injury. Anyway, going back to the person we really want to talk about, which is Costa, is that the other great thing about Costa, he can score goals when he's not particularly on form. But the other thing I love about Costa is that even when he's not, finding it easy to score goals or he's not on his tip-top form, his work rate is immense. And he makes something happen.
Yeah.
He
he
gets
does,
cross,
yeah.
and okay, sometimes to the detriment of the team, he'll maybe go a bit too wide to go out and get the ball. But that first goal. I think the goal was started by him making a run out wide to go and tackle the defender just outside of the penalty area. That's what you want to see from a striker. That's what I want to see from a striker.
I think he's just an all-round striker. I mean, also he had this whole thing about they need time to settle, but he's come
Attitude,
in,
isn't it?
doesn't
he's come in straight away. Probably not used to playing at Christmas either, so maybe that has an impact. But he's just come in, 15 goals halfway through the season. He's been brilliant. He's cult hero
I love
already.
him.
He doesn't seem to lose his confidence, does he?
No.
I feel like he goes onto the pitch every day knowing that
I
he
just
can
love
score.
him. He's just-
And I didn't think we had that with Torres or.
I love the
anyone.
anger he's got. He
Yeah.
plays with fire in his belly.
He does.
Can we just
He's
take a
fighter.
moment to admire the?
Yeah.
What?
You know what I'm talking about, don't
Oh
you?
yeah. He shushed the Geordies up, didn't he? Yeah.
That was bloody brilliant. That
Why
was.
I? He should have said shh, had away, and we can't say the rest.
Yeah.
You could do a show reel of him mugging off away fans this season. couldn't
I
you?
just love him. He's a fighter. He's my kind of a footballer.
But still, my favourite moment has to be him literally mugging Skirtle at Anfield.
Oh, yes, that was brilliant. No, I've completely lost my train. Oh, I know what I was going to say. How much do we like Sophie on this table? Hands up if we like Sophie.
Near as
I
much-
like Sophie.
near as much
I like
Costa.
Sophie. I like
I didn't know
Sophie.
this sort of poll was being
No,
taken
we're doing
place
it. And the
today.
they've all been voting in today.
They have?
I'll tell you the results later. But we all like you. Now, the reason I'm asking you this, or asking them this, is that we're now going to do something that you will really like. We're going to talk about
Is it Oscar-based?
Yes,
Oh.
it's Oscar-based. We're going to have an Oscar-based 5 minutes just for Sophie. But the reason I say this is that, a bit like Costa, he's not exactly been on the best form, I don't think, this season. But, having said that, he still, he scored the first goal, which I thought was, by the way, I thought was a brilliantly worked goal. The one thing I must say about that, though, in all the commentaries and stuff that I've heard and read, and seen and heard and read, is that they all give credit to Willian for that corner.
Yeah.
It was Branner. Branner saw him go into the corner, and Branner was saying, quick. Branner should get the credit for that.
It's clearly something they worked on in training, isn't it? But Williams, the one looking towards the box, they worked together, didn't they? Yeah. I do think, though, and you maybe won't like this, Sophie, is that I've hooked him off at half-time had that goal not come.
Really?
Because he had a
Yeah,
dreadful
a lot of
first
people said, though, that they would have done that. But I think the point with Oscar is that when we need somebody to come through, he does. And that assist for Costa at the weekend was great.
Sublime.
And do you know what I love this season? Him, Oscar, Costa, Willian, Hazard, they all seem to be playing... and their passing is just like, they've obviously practiced it and it's obviously set out for them already, but it's different to last season. They're actually using it, which I think is great. And I think Oscar's a main part of that, and I think he showed that in the second half, especially.
Yeah. It was nice to see a quick corner, because often, you wait 10, 15 seconds, everyone sets up, you get into your zones and you're marking, and then, but a quick corner, you saw the Newcastle keeper was like looking completely
They
away,
were really
all over the shot.
unprofessional. John Carver was absolutely spitting
Yeah.
afterwards, and quite right.
Yeah.
As a coach, that's like the worst thing that your team can do to you, for all of them to switch off like that.
Yeah.
He won't have to worry about it for too much longer.
Oh, bless him. I kind of really secretly want him to be the Newcastle
Remy
manager.
Gard.
White guard.
Yeah. Not Frank de Boer.
No, he
Remy
said no.
Gard.
Okay. Going back to Oscar, I mean,
Yes.
I have been a bit worried about Oscar because I mean, you know, Sophie thinks she loves Oscar. I love Oscar too. I mean, yes, I really do. Did you not know that?
No, I didn't know that.
I'm a huge Oscar fan. When he joined our club, I was more excited about. I mean, actually, I was more excited about Hazard because I kind of knew a little bit more about Hazard. But I think at the time we had the wonderful Felipe from Brazil over with us, so we had a little bit of an insight on Brazilian football. And for about 6 months, Felipe had been saying to me, if Chelsea sign one Brazilian, please let it be Oscar because this kid is brilliant and he could be the best player in the world. And I've kind of followed him since Felipe started telling me about that, which is before he joined Chelsea. And I really do believe he could be the best all-round player in the world because I think he's got the lot. And I think in view of the whole Lampard meltdown in the last few weeks, it's quite...
Sorry, who?
Sorry. In view of the meltdown of the player formerly known as Frank Lampard, it'd be quite interesting to talk about them in the same breath, really, because, I mean, you know, Oscar's come in, he's got the number 8 shirt. He came here because of Lampard, apparently. He was a bit of a hero of his. I don't think he is anymore, apparently, like so many other people.
He's the same age now as when Lampard joined us, isn't he?
Well, here's the thing. I think it's just Jake Cohen, isn't it? Is it Jake Cohen?
Possibly.
Yeah, I think it is. He came out with a great stat that if you look at Oscar and Lampard in the seasons when they were both 20, when they were 23 years old. So in other words, it's a year, so it covers not, you know, a kind of an unusual season. In the seasons when they were both 23, Lampard had 7 Premier League goals and assists. That's 5 goals and 2 assists. Oscar already has 11 Premier League goals. That's 4 goals and 7 assists. So it's an interesting comparison. I mean, what I'm trying to fudge here, obviously, is there a comparison to be made here, Dan?
It's a nice stat, and I think it proves you can prove anything you like with stats, really. But, you know, they're 2 men playing in 2 completely different teams.
Absolutely.
The team that Oscar's playing in now is a lot better than the team that Lampard was playing in when he was 23. They play in 2 different positions. But, you know, they're both brilliant players. They're both... And Lampard has, at one stage, been the best man in the world at what he does, and I've no doubt that Oscar will be.
Yeah. Well, I think that's more important for me to hear because I really want that to be true.
And I went to the Olympics final.
You did, didn't you?
Yeah. And Neymar was there. Neymar was an absolute show pony. But Oscar
isn't
just...
he? Yeah.
It was...
He's a proper footballer, Dan.
He was
That's what I like
brilliant.
about him.
He was passing, his range of passing. Was he 20 then, I think? His range of passing was phenomenal. Neymar was all about tricks and didn't have a final ball. But Oscar was a standout player.
I was just going to say that, you know, reiterating what we said earlier about Jose making really tough decisions, like he will bring somebody off if they're doing rubbish and vice versa. He brought in Oscar instead of Mata. Mata was our best player the season before, which shows he has a lot of faith in Oscar, a lot of faith. And considering he does have his OK games and then he gets much better again, Jose's still playing him pretty much consistently.
Not only that, Soph, and I think, again, Sophie's on fire. Again, it's 2 weeks in a row. Sophie's on fire. Should be on Match of the Day next. Blimey. No, but it's a top point because if Jose Mourinho has basically given the number 10 role to Oscar, that tells you everything you need to know about what Jose Mourinho thinks of Oscar, and he knows just a little bit. Only a little bit more about football than me. So there we go.
I think because you talked there about Mata and Oscar, there's an interesting comparison there. I was always a massive fan of Juan Mata.
Juan Mata,
great, you know, apart from what a great human being as well, but a brilliant player. But I think Mata looks amazing sometimes for 10 minutes a game. Oscar frequently looks amazing for 80 minutes a game.
Yeah. And I also think that I think part of the reason Jose Mourinho did that, just quickly because I don't want to go too much into it, but was maybe he thought Juan Mata is a great player, but maybe Oscar fits better within all the other players and he can work better with them. It's not necessarily a case of one being better than the other, it's who works well for our team and how he's going to build it.
I think Oscar's a better all-round player because he can tackle where Mata wasn't particularly good at tackling, but Oscar can put in a really good tackle.
But just say one other thing on Oscar. When he came, do you remember everyone was saying about, he's a bit weedy, he's never going to be strong enough for the Premier League?
He looked it.
When I watched him on YouTube and everything, I thought, oh, really? Well, I'm always aware at the start of the season because I don't like change. So when new people come in...
You don't like change?
Well, what are you going to say now?
I don't know. I don't know whether I should have my psychotherapist hat on.
I don't think Chidge should be saying anything right now.
Really?
But no, just like William as well, I thought, he's going to go... Now all the Brazilians are my favourite players, so
but no one's saying he's not tough enough anymore, are they?
No, I don't think it's the case that I think the one thing you can guarantee that you get with Oscar, tackle, and he can just run. He doesn't, even if he's just seen to like put in effort 24/7. I think that's what you need in a player that's going to build our team.
I was going to say, do you want the final word on Oscar? But I think you've just had it. I think we should just kind of move on a little bit to wrap it up about the Newcastle game. I mean, one of the questions that occurred to me is that, albeit that they played pretty well in the second half, once they got their noses in front, they started to look more like the Chelsea that we've been seeing this season. There was a sense that I have at the moment, Dan, that Chelsea are kind of getting away with it at the moment. They're not. Okay, if there were moments in the season where they've been 100%, they've maybe been about 65, 70% for a lot of the last month or two. And yet they're still getting the results and they're still top of the league.
That's what wins the title.
But are we getting away with it a bit at the moment?
I think you have to when you're going to win the league. I know it's a massive cliche, but it's a 38-game season. It's absolutely impossible to maintain.
Marathon, not sprint.
Exactly, yeah.
How many more cliches can we come up with?
I think it's that. But for over 38 games, you're never, ever going to be paying 100%. And if you look at our Christmas results, Spurs aside, it wasn't that bad. I mean, they drew at Southampton. They've gone and beaten
Decent
United.
side, Southampton.
Beat Arsenal, beat United.
Spurs was a freak result. Because that could have been 5-5 or 8-5 or whatever.
Southampton, we got the penalty. It's 2-0 or 2-1. West Ham, we were brilliant. Stoke was a good away with. So really, it's not been playing brilliantly, but the results haven't been that bad. City had their blip October time when they dropped points. We've had our blip now, and we're 2 points ahead. And we could go 8 clear if we beat them end of the month.
I mean, I think, I do agree with what you're saying. I do, Dan. But I think Hazard, like you've written down here, Hazard has a spark. And I think aside from anyone that scores goals, if there wasn't any goal scoring in it, put it this way, has anybody else got that spark? And I don't think they have, like Hazard. And to be honest, Hazard on New Year's Day was the only one who had that bit of spark. He had nobody to help him. And I want them to all improve on that, because it will come to a point where there is an important game, and if he hasn't got any backup, we are going to lose the game.
Does look a bit like that,
City will be the acid test. I think
it will be.
That'll be a massive.
It's going to really. I can't go. That's really doing my night.
I'm going, and I cannot
really doing
wait.
my night. The other thing I really wanted to say was I actually think that a lot of the credit for the victory on Saturday actually really should go to Jose Mourinho, who was spitting fire for the entire match. I thought he was going to have a fit watching him on the touchline. He was really cross all the time. He was into the players, from the first minute, because he could tell that they weren't quite at it, and he was getting into them. And God knows what he said at half-time, but whatever it was, it worked. But, I mean, I think, and I've been saying this at the beginning of the season, that we will win the title because we have the best manager. And when push comes to shove, I would rather have, one Jose Mourinho than 100 Pellegrinos.
Yeah, and people used to say that Fergie was worth 15 extra points a season, and Mourinho is worth 15 extra points a season. We asked Steve Holland after the game on Saturday, what happened to half-time? Did he go in there? Did he break teacups? And Steve joked, we've only got plastic teacups, they're not very effective.
I wonder why.
Yeah, well, very good reason, I would have thought. But, he didn't, of course. He psychologically managed them, and he is a genius at what he does.
Do you know, I think it's more of a case with Jose Mourinho. He's not one of the managers who would go in and say to his players, how have you gone from being like this to playing like this in the first half? He's probably gone in there and said, you will not go from that to that.
Yeah.
And that's the bottom line.
He'll always protect his players in the public, but behind closed doors, if they're not pulling their weight, they'll know about it, I'm sure.
But it's really, really interesting. I mean, he's just... he's the best manager in the world by none. I hope the man stays with Chelsea forever. But the way that he got into them and made a point of the fact that okay, if things aren't going their way, you need to press people more. You need to make it happen. You can't just let it happen. You've got to make it happen. I think that's really what his contribution was on Saturday.
And going back to what I said before about, he said there are 2 battles to be won here. One is on the pitch, the other one's in your head. And this is almost important in your head than what's going on the pitch.
Absolutely right. And there's lots of things going on in my head at the moment, mainly Chaz saying we've got to go to a break. So we will go to a break. He's in there. But when we come back, we're going to be talking fannies. Oh, yes.
God.